We are going to continue solving quadratics. We're going to move on to completing the square. We're going to do this by basically converting to vertex form and solving from there. To get this accomplished, we have to revisit solving by square root. We're going to add a little bit more detail in here. Previously, when we solved by square root, we would have something like x squared is equal to 25, and we would take the square root of both sides and get x is equal to plus or minus 5. What we have here in these situations, we're going to have to isolate what's in parentheses and then square root the entire both sides. So to get this set of parentheses by itself, the x plus 5, we isolate it with the x squared, the squared on top. We will then take the square root of this entire side and this entire side. This square root cancels that squared part off and gets us x plus 5. Then we have the square root of 4, which is plus or minus 2. That's the first step. In this original problem right here that we were done, we had two answers. Now we have to continue solving. Since our parentheses here had more work inside, we now have to add 5 to both sides. The way I like to do this, typically I would add this at the very end, but I like to put that 5 in the front. So here we have our x, sorry, that's not plus 5, minus 5, so that goes to 0, and then we're going to have negative 5 plus or minus 2. Well, we can't just leave this as negative 5 plus or minus 2. Well, I guess you could. We can separate this into two different problems. Let's do a different color. We can say x is equal to negative 5 plus 2 and x is equal to negative 5 minus 2. Go ahead and solve these. X is equal to negative 3, x is equal to negative 7. Those are my two solutions there. Let's go through one more example. This one, my parentheses part, the part that is squared, is not isolated. I'm going to have to divide both sides by 2. That cancels to be 1. We're left with x minus 1 squared is equal to 16. Okay, now that my squared part is isolated over here, I can take the square root of this side and take the square root of this side. The square root cancels that, where I'm left with x minus 1. Square root of 16 is plus or minus 4. Now I have x minus 1 is equal to plus or minus 4, so I'm going to say add 1 to both sides. Again, I'm going to put this in front of the plus or minus part. So I have x, this goes to 0, I have 1 plus or minus 4, and the last thing I want to do is separate that into two problems. X is equal to 1 plus 4, x is equal to 1 minus 4. X is equal to 5, or x is equal to negative 3. Those are my two solutions right there.